You might be familiar with simulation theory, which sort of states that we're living on this planet inside of what could be considered a simulation, and it's not really real, it's sort of an illusion, and this physical existence inside of our human reality is just an experience that our soul has, and then when we leave here, we go back to what is quote unquote reality. And that idea of that always stood out to me because you read a lot of books and I've channeled a lot of things, and there's so many similar ideas to that. And my guides explained it to me in a way that made a lot of sense to me. And so I want to share it with you. If you've ever stood in front of a hologram, like a giant hologrammed image, from the front, it feels very three-dimensional. It feels like it's jumping out at you. And then if you walk to the side of the hologram, you see that it's just a flat surface being projected outwards. So your experience of the hologram will depend on where you're standing. And the same goes for this physical reality. Your experience of it and your interpretation of it will depend on where you're experiencing it and how you're experiencing it. When we are inside of the Earth experience, we're standing in the front of the hologram. Our experience of our reality feels very three-dimensional, and it feels very solid and very real. But the perspective of the beings that are standing in a different location, experiencing the hologram from the side, see the Earth experience as an illusion, as a projection. You could use the word simulation. And for us, we don't understand that because we are standing and looking at the hologram from a different perspective. So this question of, is the Earth experience an illusion? Is being on Earth a simulation? Is both, the answer to that is both yes and no, depending on the perspective through which you're experiencing it. When you're inside of the Earth experience, everything feels so high stake. Everything feels so real because to us, it is. And when you're on the other side of this experience, it doesn't feel as important, it doesn't feel as detrimental because you are looking at it through a different vantage point and realizing in the grand scheme of your entire existence, it was just a very small experience that you had and now it's over. So to that vantage point, it feels not as important or not as high stakes. So just like with everything else, there is no one truth. There is no one reality. It's up to the individual who's experiencing it to determine what their truth is for themselves. And ultimately, everything is both true and not true at the same time, depending on where you're standing and viewing the hologram. When we're in the middle of our Earth experience, it's all about survival for us, to make money, to stay healthy, to have solid relationships. And we take it very, very seriously because it feels so real to us, and it's important to make our experience feel good and be worthwhile. Whereas when you're on the other side and you're looking at the Earth experience through a different vantage point, you see it as a playground. You see it as an opportunity to experience yourself in a new way and to learn and to grow and to explore yourself and to make new discoveries. And ultimately, what my spirit guide said from the soul perspective is that the entire universe, the entire existence of you as a light being is a playground. And the whole point is to play and is to make discoveries and is to deepen your understanding of yourself and consciousness and the universe. And the human experience is just one way to do that. And part of the fun in coming here is to discover this aspect of it, to be able to stand in the front of the hologram and know that there's another vantage point from the side, so that you can experience the reality and the high stakesness of your Earth experience, all the while knowing that you don't necessarily have to buy into that perspective because there's another one too. And that is why I love the spiritual perspective, because it has allowed me to feel less pressure in my life and to move through this experience of myself with more levity, and to be able to see things from a higher vantage point that has allowed me to feel more free inside of who I am, not take things so seriously, not feel so pressured or stressed to make a big impact or create meaning in my life, because the experience of myself inside of this human reality is enough fulfillment for me. It is the meaning for me. And so having the knowledge that there is another perspective of experiencing this human reality, even if I can't access it myself, just having the awareness of it has offered that to me. And I would love to know what it's offered for you too.